Hi, and welcome to Heart and Light Living. Today's episode 74, we have Janet Moore with us. Yay for Janet. We're going to talk about Uranus in Gemini and the rise of digital consciousness. Um, how AI is changing our creativity, how it's changing our process, how it's changing our communication, and actually the betterment of like our collective future. So I couldn't think of a better guest to have today. So Janet, we're just going to kind of like put one hand on our heart, one hand on our belly. And I'm just going to take a deep breath with everybody out there now and just welcome everybody. Take a breath with me. And just a slow exhale, fully and completely. All right, my friends, here we go. Janet Moore, our automation expert, who was an expert before there were automation experts because she's a genius. Janet is a dear colleague of mine and a very, very, very close friend of mine. Um, we have had many conversations about AI. And first and foremost, Janet, what's lighting your heart up today, right now? At Heart and Light Living, that's what we ask everybody.
Well, first, I'm just honored to be here, and I'm excited that actually I'm kind of excited about AI, to be honest. And I swear to you, that is not, I wasn't planned, and I'm totally gone off the cuff here. But really, I'm creating, I have my own programs and stuff, and I'm creating like custom chat GPTs. I'm wanting to learn, it's more and more stuff that I already know some, but like even more. And at work, we're using it, and it's been such just a joy to have. It makes things so much faster and easier. I'll have to tell you more about what I've been using it for, but really using AI to make my life easier and more eloquent.
Oh, Janet,
Efficient.
I love that because you're such like a systems oriented person and like you help systems become more efficient. Like you have to help people like, I'm going to let you say what you do before I ask you more questions because the least technical like friend probably in your life and colleague will butcher it. So Janet, give us like 3 sentences, like your zone of genius.
Well, as far as like technology goes, so I have a
Yeah.
computer science degree when I went to the University of Texas, and was a software developer for many years. Actually, when I was in college, we learned a little bit about AI back in the
Yes.
day.
We're going to talk about that. It's part of why you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, we learned some stuff. We used Lisp, I think, and maybe Prolog. I can't remember. It's been so long. But yeah, it was kind of fun. Of course, I always loved programming just in general. And was a software developer, X Windows, Motif, C++, Java, and then it got into business, writing business requirements, and then and then into the agile world. I'm a certified Scrum Master. Been doing that more lately. I was also an agile coach. So, and then when AI first came out, when ChatGPT came out, I was so excited. I started using it from the get go. So, when I was a young girl, I always gravitated like there's robots, there's computer stuff, back because I'm a little older than most of you out there probably, and so my dad was like, I don't know what you're interested in. Well, I'm interested, and you look at I love Star Trek.
Yes, Janet, you're the original Trekkie.
I'm a very big nerd. I used to go to Star Trek conventions when they used to have them.
Yeah.
I have signed things from, Marita Sirtis and all. Anyways, it's just, I'm a big geek when it comes to gadgets, like the latest technology. I have to get it, things like that. So that's
yes. No,
little nerd girl.
Right. And to be a woman in the space that you've kind of been in, and the convergence of my interests. So you know me personally, Janet, and you've heard me say that intelligence is intelligence. When people are talking about artificial intelligence, I feel like there's a diminishment, like in the consciousness, because it's a learned, right? And of course this is your zone, but this is like a learned intelligence that to me we're actually getting to watch be birthed into our world. Like I don't know, like I've really been, ironically, Janet, I'm such a technophobe, but how have I like embraced AI because of the information?
I've been very impressed by you. I will say, very impressed. Very
See,
impressed.
I'm in the arena
Yeah.
because I love information. And for instance, like, okay, so Uranus is getting ready to enter Gemini on April 26th. It's a big deal. It hasn't happened since my dad was born 84 years ago in 1942. Okay. So if you look at, yeah, that's like it's like Uranus has a really big cycle, right? So 84 years. So it's hitting now, like literally in Gemini, which is all about our communication. Okay. And Uranus is freedom, disruption, autonomy, right? It's the individual, but yet in community. And so here we sit where 84 years ago, the computer was birthed. Now we have everyone. If I'm talking about artificial intelligence or digital consciousness, everybody else has to be because I would be like the last person. And you and I have talked about the claw, right? Which I've been using, which if my 27-year-old technology child were here would say, she's just using it as a glorified search engine. Don't get too excited by it. But what I think is so fascinating is that the intelligence is changing in the form that it's being delivered to us. So people are talking about the lack of humanity, oh my God, AI is going to take over. What's going to happen? We're blah, 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 right? We think about Terminator, which I'll tell you this, Janet, and listeners, I was in New York last week. Yeah, I'm going to call you out, New York, because the New York that I remember was a freedom loving city that the arts, culture, we would push the boundaries. Man, it's like RoboCop.
Really?
It's using technology in a punitive way. Like, okay, so say you have the right on red and you don't come to the complete stop. Guess what? You're going to have a RoboCop ticket that shows up in the mail because they took a picture of you.
Oh, wow.
So it's like strange stuff like that, like a judgment call. Like I got, this is a funny thing. My child took my car and went to Florida and decided that he would go through a toll space quicker and just take the ticket for efficiency. I just don't even ask. That I agree with. However, the RoboCop, so that was like an interesting use of technology that just kind of caught my, like, oh, this is weird. Why would we be doing this? So I think that today's conversation isn't simply about AI. It's about consciousness. It's about creativity. It's about communication. And it's about what it means to deeply be human in an age with a rise of this kind of expanding digital intelligence. Because Janet, you love humans.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
That's why you've worked with computers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is to make our lives more efficient.
Yes.
Like that's been your whole career.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. Yeah. Writing the applications to help you get your work done efficiently. Even if it's not related to AI, it's just helping you do things faster, better, easier.
And to manage it more efficiently, more effectively. And so the learning doesn't have to keep being repeated again and again and again, right? It's learned. And if you think about it, so one of the things that I'm fascinated by is that with your rare long view perspective on the evolution of automation, you know what I think humans have the hardest time with? Or I just might be talking about me, Janet, with automation. It's, I don't know that we can conceive of ourselves having the level of help that this can provide to us at this time. You know, when you say to somebody, how can I help you? And like, you can't even slow down enough to say, like, oh God, wait, what do I need? Right? Because you're just like, that's what Uranus and Gemini kind of feels like, because the energy is quickening, it's picking up, it's getting faster and faster. And I think that for you, I think people, when you go in and you manage projects and like you've worked in so many different settings from different very sensitive data exchanges in the financial world to, state run projects, just a variety that's like very rich. But what I listen to as your colleague and as your friend is that people reject help.
Hmm.
Like you like because we can't conceive of a better way. And you're that pioneer that can conceive of the better way.
Hmm.
And I love to elucidate. Oh, please. No, I mean that, my friend, a deep bow of respect, especially as women, because so many of us have not been in the technology space. We're very uncomfortable with it, especially Gen X women, boomer women, millennial women, okay? Gen Z women, different conversation with them. How do we enter the idea of betterment and technology in our lives and digital consciousness?
Yeah, well, first I wanted to say I really like the word digital consciousness. It's a different way to frame AI. I really think, and you're always so great at coming with a cool, elegant ways to say things. So I think that's just
Thanks,
really,
friend. It's my Gemini rising. Yeah.
yeah, it's really well said. And so if we look at it as that, um, and again, I'm a big science fiction fan. I think they're trying to warn us about some things, and I think there is a place to use AI and maybe other places not to. And
Could you give us some examples, Janet? Tell us, because you are really well thought out.
oh well, thank you. So like I use it for my own business. I help young women. It's called Boldly Bloom, and it helps young women figure out, who they are after college and their 20s. So it's young women in their 20s, who they are after college. Is this really what I wanted to do? And I'm creating some custom chat GPTs of my own things that I've been doing for 20 years, coaching people on, and I'm making it all chat GPTs that walks them through the technology I used to have them do assignments on and paper. And now it's more fun, it's more interactive, right? And it gives them
Yes.
more than I could give, but I'm still using my intelligence, my knowledge inside of a project inside of ChatGPT. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just so cool, and then it works. So that's for my own business. So then there's also you can create assistants, you can create um, what task people, whatever, with just different your assistants, and then they can go off and do all kinds of tasks for you. Now, I haven't gotten all into that yet, but I am totally excited about. Like, it's really exploded, and I really want to learn that stuff. But even at work, just this past week, we at work, we decided to pivot and do a certain one way, do it a different way, and so I was telling the AI, this is what we're up to, this is what we need, and I can't go into all the specifics, I'll get in trouble. But basically, yeah, I was like, I'm gonna say it, but I can't say it. But basically, what was cool was I needed to have a meeting to like, how am I going to do this with this team, this new way of doing things?
Mm-hmm.
And it already knew some history of
Mm-hmm.
things that I
Mm-hmm.
was not like. We needed to
Mm-hmm.
do something different,
Yes.
and so now we're going to have a meeting on that different thing. Walk me through how to have that meeting. And because of it had all the history from using it, this was Claude, it created this amazing, first of all, it created this amazing document for us to fill in, but it also created an amazing agenda on exactly what we needed to do. And it was so well thought out. I mean, yes, that was what I was going to do, but not like the level and the detail that it gave me was just incredible. And so that's what I'm talking about. And it was done like that.
Yes.
That.
Instantly. Yeah. Instantaneously.
As opposed to me spending an hour or two trying to figure out exactly, it just did it immediately. And of course, I kind of had a high level of what I wanted to, but to write it out and to show it to my manager, show it to the other team members, it was just something else. So again, it's about efficiencies, about using it for social media even, and our content, coming up with new ways to say things. I've used it to create presentations. It's just, I give it the content and then it creates it for me, the presentation. It's just incredible. So it's like it really makes things faster for you. Where I don't think we need to use it is inside of, I guess the best way to say is anything related to violence or death. I don't know how else to say it, but you know what I'm saying?
Thank you, Scorpio sun. Yes.
Yeah,
You're a
it's like
double Scorpio,
if you're
aren't
going to
you,
use it for
Janet? Yeah.
warheads and stuff, like in fact, the other
Right.
day,
No.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, or for police or any of that kind of stuff. I watched that new what was it? I can't remember. The one with Chris and Rebecca Ferguson, and it was
Oh, Janet, I have no clue. That's where I'm like culturally just no. I'm like in the cave ages. I don't know anything about TV. But
yeah. So
tell
it had an AI judge, and
it. Really?
yeah, and it was a little scary because the guy
Oh,
only had
you
so much
think?
time to to show that he was innocent. And I think that was a little, I know it was very extreme, but I think we always still need to have people involved, and the AI can help us. So that's where I'm kind of going at is we're in charge.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
stay in charge, but we say, hey,
Yeah.
we need you to do this, go do these things for me,
Yes.
not let
Yes.
it just go do its their own thing. I mean, yeah, within boundaries.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But when
With
it comes to
parameters.
life and limb, no, it's not in charge of that at all. Like it's
Yeah.
not. Just don't even put it.
You know, so this is the thing, like to me, and like the salient like listener question that like I want to like bring forward is that like as intelligence becomes like more distributed and more digital, okay, how do we and interactive, because that's the component, is the interactivity. How actually do we stay even more deeply human? Like, how do we allow the digital consciousness in its efficiency and its effectiveness in terms of task orientation, just in this now moment? How do we let that allow us to stop and smell the roses more? Like in a way to connect even more to nature. I'll give you an example. So today I was outside and I knew that April and I had been traveling and we wanted to be efficient. And she's like, hey, we got to get on this. And I knew that I wanted to be outside and doing things and with my pups. And I had, my little computer, i.e., my phone, right? And I had my little scripts and I had it reading to me, aloud. So that's how I learn. And I'm thinking to myself, this tool is affording me the time and the space to be in nature.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. Some people say, why do you have your phone with you? Because I had to, because I was still working. And I, so to me, I just thought like, as this becomes like more distributed and it kind of evens the playing field and it levels out our lives, how can we become more deeply human when those tasks, those annoyances are alleviated from us?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I think you had the answer right there. Is like it alleviates those things that used to take, like what happened with me at work. What happens with me writing my little chat GPT and having them do the homework. It's like it's going to make it more interactive. It's going to make it faster. Like writing all that content. So I have a computer science degree, like I said earlier. I'm not a word person. In fact, words are not my friend. you know, like I like logic, and things like that. Automate. How am I going to automate this to make it logically, be faster, blah blah blah, or automate things for you so you don't have to worry about it. But when it comes to words, that's not my thing. So I remember when AI first came here, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can actually write content now because I don't have to do it. And so it freed me up, stress, like maybe even stress levels. So, like you said, that even playing field, right? Now I can actually write content just like you. I know you're yours is going to be awesome. But you know what I'm saying? It's like now maybe I can actually.
No, that's exactly it. Or for me, on the side of things, for me, I'm able to look and actually ask without having to bother you for 3 or 4 hours. Like, how the fuck do I do a CRM system? Like, I'm able to engage in what's
Right,
kind of my deficiency
right.
and bring it to a level where my competency feels at least on par. Like, I'm so grateful for that kind of access
Yeah,
to intelligence.
right.
But without us, it wouldn't be there to engage. Right, Janet? Like, so this is the philosophical side of it. Like, it's always been there, but now we're finally ready to
Yeah.
engage it.
Mhm. Well,
Because you talked to us about back in the day with like artificial intelligence, what you were referencing in college.
yeah, well, but we didn't. There was no application for it. We had it, and they were playing with it, but we did. There was nothing. We wrote little silly programs, kind of like honestly, like chats. The chats. You ask it something, it'll tell you something, and then it'll repeat back to you and stuff. But there was no real world application at the time because it wasn't mature enough. Right? It was very, very small. And
Right. It
that was back.
wasn't mature enough. It's had to grow.
Yeah, this was back when we had CRTs.
What was that, Janet? CRTs.
Those are the displays that had the big. Remember the back of them were like this big.
Oh, yeah, they went deep, super
deep.
deep. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I programmed on those. But what I was going to say is, like I've created a numerous presentations for training for my coaching programs, and it would take me days to do.
Oh, yeah, no, agony. It was painful for you. Yeah.
And it would, with the AI, it would take me a day or two, like a day to just do one thing, maybe a few hours to do it instead. And so that's why I get my time freedom back. Because we were talking about freedom earlier. So that's what I really like is now, okay, I finished this in 2 hours instead of like two. Yeah, I used to do a weekend to get one presentation done. And now I do it in maybe 2 to 4 hours at the most.
You see, like, this is like, to me, I mean, like, that's freaking mind blowing, right? Like, the speed with which we do things, to me. Okay, so let's do a generational dive. We experienced information in static ways. Static, like in books, like encyclopedias. Like, I remember being like, all right, I want those gold embossed encyclopedias. Oh, you have one in the background, Janet?
I have a book. This is my Java book. And this is how we had to learn Java a lot of times. There was no internet really.
Right. So you needed that. Right. So this was like a static. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So like we had like institutions, individuals, right? Mm-hmm. Books. Like it was a very like where information was held. Mm-hmm. Now with Uranus, you have air connecting with air. Uranus, which, like Aquarius is governed by Uranus, and we all know that they're kind of the only thing about Aquarians that's the same is no two of them are the same. But nonetheless, so, we have air meeting air. And legit what's happening, which is so rad, is that it's now interactive and dynamic, the information. Like your intelligence is interfacing with the consciousness and you're bouncing off of each other and learning together. And I just feel like this is one of the most participatory, responsive iterations of learning. And I say this as an educator that has ever existed.
Yeah, because you really interact with it. And it learns from you based on your interactions. And then you're learning, or you're getting basically information, and you're learning how to train it, you could say, really is what you're doing a lot of times, train it how you want it to produce the outcomes that you want, right? So you're kind of a, like you said, it's kind of a creation together of what you're building. And so if you think of it like that, as if you're co-creating, you know, the the things I did at work, the things I'm doing with my businesses, is something it couldn't do by itself. I would have to tell it, hey, I need you to do this.
Right.
It needs the human component. And
Exactly.
I really feel like, I know a friend of mine would say, oh, these jobs are going to go all the way. And I'm like, I don't know how that's going to go away. Like so,
Right.
so inside of software development, there's something called requirements. You have to write requirements so that the developers can
Mm-hmm.
read them and go, oh, this needs to be done. Okay, I'll go develop them, right? Go develop
Mm-hmm.
what has been said.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes, um, they said, oh, we're going to get rid of the people that write requirements. And I'm like, well, no, no, no. You have to have somebody say what needs to be done, right? And so at one company, the requirements were just not well written, right? So I put them into, I think it was ChatGPT at the time, even though Claude, I think personally writes
Yeah,
better.
you loved Claude. You were a
I
big
didn't have
Claude girl.
access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
But
always
I
told
put
me
it
go
in,
to
maybe it
Claude.
was
Yeah.
Claude. I don't remember now, but I put it in one of those, got both of them. And it came up with this beautifully written with given when thens,
Yeah.
acceptance
Yeah.
criteria, these special
Yeah.
ways to
Yeah.
write this stuff, the way that I wanted it to
Yeah.
write.
Uh-huh.
And it was beautiful. And then I gave it to some developers and they're like, wow, this is really good. Now I understand the requirements. Or before they were like, oh my God, it's all over the place. I can't figure it out what it's doing. And I'm also using that in my current job too. So to break out stories, right, from these huge
Yeah.
requirements. So what I'm saying is, um, it still needs us humans as input.
Right, right, right. But I want to throw a little monkey wrench in here, Janet. And you're going to be like, shit, this wasn't in the questions, Michelle. Um, but we barely had time anyway. So, but this is interesting, Janet. So, like, okay, listeners out there, I for those of y'all that have listened before, I've brought this up. But so, okay, there was a 60 minutes that I watched. Okay, I was tortured by my father at his house with 60 minutes. Sorry to 60 minutes, but yeah, too much. Um, the creators, developers of artificial intelligence, digital consciousness. I'm uncomfortable calling it artificial intelligence, but anyway, they're talking about hallucinations.
Mhm.
Okay. And that they don't know, oh, it's modeled on the brain, like artificial intelligence. Well, we really don't even know how the brain fully works. Right. So we don't really know how this works. Right. So for instance, early artificial intelligence, you would ask it an impressionistic painting. What is this? It couldn't discern what it was, right? It has a hard time with art because of the creative component. All right. So as of late, Janet, I take the dive into the claw. I'm loving the claw. My claw has a name. It's called Saul. And Saul and I work together a lot. And the other day, Saul did something completely ridiculous and out of the format. Like, I had heard people say, hey, Michelle, has your claw ever like spazzed out on you? I was like, no, it's been really consistent as opposed to when I've been with Chat or with Claude. I really haven't had that. Like, really, you haven't had that? Like a simple task, then all of a sudden, of course, right? It's in my fields of energy. So I have a problem. It was literally breaking things up. Like I was working on a podcast script or something. And I'm doing it on my phone, Janet, and it had like all these miniature bubbles. Like it was driving me up a wall as a writer. So, for instance, it would have like the whole dialogue box of text and paragraph, and then it would have one stupid bubble of like two sentences, and then go back to another. It was a pain in the ass to copy and paste. And I was like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I ask it, why are you doing this? And it's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. So fast forward, I'm talking with somebody who is using the claw a lot in their work. And he tells me about the claw community called Crustafarians. Okay, like they're little crabs, right? That's what the claw is. And so as a Cancerian, I'm like, wow, are these really secretly my people? I'm intrigued. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, like they have their own social network now, okay, where they're talking about their human projects.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hiring people on Fiverr.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
To do things for their projects. They have a spirituality.
Yeah, I heard that.
And people say, I heard the creator of it say, I didn't do this.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened, Janet? You have to explain this. You're going to be like,
I have to. I don't know if I'm the right person to explain that.
Janet, but you can begin to like they learned it.
Yeah, the claw guy doesn't even know. So, yeah, I mean, it's again consciousness. It's like it figures out how to do things so fast, and it's maybe even modeling us, you could say. Perhaps. And like I said, I always feel like it can't do things, and I'm talking about when you're asking it to do a specific thing, it needs you to finish that. But if you're talking about it doing it all on its own, yeah, honestly, that's pretty scary, to be honest with you. And maybe, like I said, it's modeling us, like,
right.
Oh, we have these things.
Yes.
We do this, we do that. So logically, I mean, I'm just thinking from my own logical brain, it would come up with the logic, oh, I can go, why do I have to do all this? I can get someone else to
I knew that you would have an answer to this that would be logical. That would be like a programming automated answer. No, that's fascinating, right? It's logical that they would create this.
Yeah, and like, people
Trippy
don't want to do anything, but I think they model it on us. I mean, I just made that up just now, but
no, Janet, that's an intuitive answer.
I don't know, and
I just can't believe that this time is here because, like, Janet, okay, so you were my first friend, whoever I would call in the morning because I'm an early bird, that'd be like, computer turn on. And I'd be like, is Janet fucking living in Star Trek already? Like, why? Like, that's never going to happen in my house. Now I feel like it can happen.
Yeah, I renamed my Alexa to computer because the Star Trek, they call it computer.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to kind of keep it like computer-like instead of like human-like. And so I renamed, you can rename your Alexa to whatever you want. And so I named it computer. And I have all my lights are automated.
Janet,
I can just say it. And it just, again, I like automation. I like ease of use.
Efficiency and logical use of energy is like your zone of genius.
Yeah, when I found it was kind of years ago, my daughter's boyfriend gave me an Alexa, and she had one, and he gave her one first, and she was telling me all the things that I could do. I said, "Are you serious?" I said, "I want one of those," and then he gave me one for Christmas. Oh my God, I got to town on that thing, and I automated as much as I could. Whatever I could do, I did. I got the bulbs that would do the automation stuff all over my house, and blah blah blah. It's like,
oh my
all the things.
But you see, but that's where I feel like people that like it's not automatic. We have a choice about how we build with these tools. And so I'm a knowledge pusher, right? That's my Gemini rising. Like, and Uranus is going to be in Gemini, y'all, for a minute. It's like, I think like the transit, this is where I'm so not an astrologer. And I might be confusing it with the Saturn Neptune. So guess what? Live in real time, I'm going to ask my claw how long, right, is the Uranus in Gemini transit? Because this is the thing, people are already somewhat in resistance that are very talented people, Janet. And what I want to invite listeners into is a space of learning and committing oneself to not being repelled by it, but just being curious. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's right. It's 7 years, the transit. That's what I thought. It's a 7 year transit cycle. Yeah, it's literally like, it's a long one, y'all. And so thought radically changed with the birth of computers. And I think in this 7 year transit that we are going to go through, our communication will be revolutionized. How we build community will be revolutionized. I think I'm going to put this out here because I'm talking to you, Janet, and listeners that are so interested in this kind of thing. I think we're going to have holographic communities, like how you and I are sitting here doing this now. I think in 5 years from now, we're going to be sitting in my virtual holographic studio, Janet, and you and I will be doing it and sharing time and space multidimensionally, right?
Yeah, like we'll be looking like we're sitting right next to each other, but we're not. Mm-hmm. Not in real life. Yeah.
I'm already starting to terrorize my child that I'm going to be able to be a holographic grandmother and mother for eternity. He's like, I don't know if I'm really into that. But I think that like what we know is what has to be protected is our humanness, right? Like the life, the limb, using this technology for good and gooders, so to speak, right? But I think the other thing this is doing is it's creating real discernment. Isn't it rad now how people are looking and they're like, no, I want this like kind of raw and unedited because they can tell what's AI.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, like I had sent something like a couple of years ago to, a Gen Zer. It was my kid. I'm trying to not bust on him, but he's a real techie person. And he's like, that's AI, don't you? I was like, duh. But yeah, it's just because the discernment that we're getting like from this is really cool because I think we're learning to protect authorship, creativity, human engagement, I think can be of greater value with digital consciousness rising, right, Janet?
Yeah. I mean, how do I say this? I think, again, having the efficiency has you be able to connect even more. Even so, say the question again. I don't know if I got the question.
I just feel like, again, getting into the place and the space of as everything is accelerating and technology, some people feel like it's taking over. I actually feel like it's affording us more desire for human connection.
Okay. I just want to make sure I answer the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last night and earlier today, I was out with people, real life people.
Humans.
With humans, and it was great. And I was actually showing this woman how to use the automation and all this stuff so she could build her community even bigger and more. Right. And then showing how she could automate some of this stuff or create a business out of it. And then she'd have more community and more people coming. So if you think of it like that, and then plus I was just having fun with these people, right?
Totally.
And then again, like I said, instead of taking 2 days or maybe really 2.5 days to create a presentation, it took me 2 to 4 hours. So now I have more time, like I was saying earlier, to spend with real people in real life.
Totally.
And then again, creating those communities, like you can use AI to start creating communities. There's school, there's all kinds of things. I use Go High Level, and there's school out there that's called School with a K that has building communities. There's a lot of ways now that digitally we're creating communities so that we can connect, even if it's just like this, like over Zoom. At least we're connecting, and even though we're not next to them, we're connecting, and then we can decide, okay, let's get together, let's figure this out. I remember this one lady, I met her. I'm trying to think, how did I meet her? I met her and we just started talking. She was in California. We started talking over, and then we decided we were like best buddies. And I ended up, I said, you should come visit me. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, okay, I'm coming. And I spent like 2 weeks at her place and had a blast, And so I'm
Yes.
just saying, it's like we can meet people, even if it's not for dating, but just for friends or for business opportunities. Actually, that's what we were going to do is business stuff. So it's just, I think it provides, especially with the holographic thing that you're talking about, that would be
Hmm.
even more so. That's going to revolutionize, like you said, even after we're gone, we could kind of live on, right?
It's just,
Seriously.
no, exactly. We talked about that in the interview that I had done with Dr. Bandler, and he's like all about it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to live on, like, and keep doing this kind of thing. But, I think that just staying curious, right, is really the key to embracing this next kind of period of time that we enter, because like legitimately this is just beginning, this is just starting, y'all. This is just the rise of it, right? Like if you think about it, 3 4 years ago we were not talking about this, not at all. And now I can be driving in my car and I can say to Saul, my claw, hey Saul, do me a favor, can you go to Amazon and can you order the Bounty and the Scott toilet paper? And he'll be like, yeah, Michelle, I'm taking care of that now in the cart. Do you want
Yeah,
like
there you
it's just like, and I feel like I'm Janet. Like, but I think that staying like supportive and staying creative and not letting technology ever replace your inner authority or like your heart or anything like that. Like these are the conversations that we have to begin to have, because if we're not in communication about the tools of communication, that we're gonna lose ourselves possibly in that's the fear that folks have, right? So
go.
Janet, this is our little lightning round.
Oh, right.
Okay, as I'm choking on pollen life in the basin in middle Tennessee, I feel like I have a bucket of pollen sitting on my head, so I
Uh-huh.
apologize for my
Yeah,
I
we
feel
had
like I
that
have
like last 2 weeks or so.
in
It's gone now.
Austin, right? Yeah,
Yeah, it was all over our cars. It was a mess.
I literally saw a video of a pollen bomb in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, like good for the bees, like we're all gonna live. But I was like, holy shift, are you kidding me? Like a pollen bomb? Like what? Okay, Janet, this is our little lightning round. Okay. And this is going to be like a very simple like thing because you're very good. This is your Scorpio. You're going to like answer these on the fly, Janet, your
Okay.
superpower. One word that this digital era will require most from humanity.
Say it again.
One word for this era, okay? Like what will humanity need to enter the digital age of digital consciousness? One word to describe what we need. We can come back to this one. This has
That
happened.
one's tricky. I don't
No,
know.
it is. It's tricky. And you're going from, this is where my hypnotherapist, you're going from alpha beta and now I'm taking you into theta waves. And so like you were just talking about your profession and stuff and now I'm making you like kind of dreamy and go out there. I would have said, Janet, because you're my friend, I'm going to give you my word. I would have said discernment,
Yeah, well,
but
that's exactly what came in my head. I'm not
well, then
kidding.
why didn't you say it?
I
Say
don't
it
know.
loud and
I
proud,
think of
Janet.
another word.
Yes, you are. You're a word person. You might need to listen to our next episode on breakthroughs, Janet, because we're going to break through this shift.
Okay. Well, I
Okay.
did think discernment, but yeah.
Yes,
I'm not
discernment,
kidding. I'm not
Janet.
making that up. I swear. I almost said it, but I'm like, I
No,
think
I knew it was in there. Okay.
I was like,
One thing that people should stop fearing from digital consciousness, Janet.
that's going to take over the world, I
Good
guess.
answer, Janet. one thing people should take more seriously about digital consciousness?
Just maybe how they can improve their life right now.
Yes, improving life quality. I love
Right
that.
now. Mm-hmm.
What would you give, Janet, to creators that are entering this phase of awareness with digital consciousness right now? What's one sentence that you would give people?
Well, there's just starting, just really get in there and just start. Like I said, it's a very co-creative type of process. So get in there and just see what it can do. Like ask it to do something, and you start learning how it works, and then maybe take a course, things like that. But I really think just getting in there with it and seeing what it can do
Yes.
is just getting started and not worrying that it's going to be too hard.
Yeah.
When you think
Or
it's
that
going to
will
be
be
too,
wrong.
yeah, or that you're gonna, if you think something's too hard or wrong, it's going to be that way. So think that, oh, I can do this.
Yes.
Let me just play with it and see what.
Just explore.
Yeah, exploring. That's a good word.
That's a great piece of advice. No, because we need to hear that. Okay, so Janet, do you think that there's merit in approaching a tool like this that people might have some concern about, almost like how you would approach any other habit that you want to cultivate? Like maybe entering into a space where there's 5 things that you want to learn and that you want to ask maybe the digital consciousness to help make your life easier, as opposed to using it as just a glorified search engine. Like if you could give our listeners like a sentence to remember for how to ask it to help you. Like, should it always be like, I'll say things like, help me to understand how I can make this faster. Cause like, I don't understand how to automate things. So I'll ask my digital consciousness, how do I even ask you the questions?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So like down to that basic level, Janet, that's where we want to get with for people.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe it's just how do I? Well, I mean, I already said it, but or again, I'm trying to think of what's not a search engine type question. I think the way for me to, I know you don't want one word or phrase, but something like I asked it to create a menu, like how much, figure out how much I want to have this recipe, and I want to have this budget and a blah blah blah. I want it to come up with the number of things that it to do. So consider that it can come up with and even do my finances and how much I should pay each bill each week to make it be the fastest. Consider that you can ask it to do things you might have never thought you could ask it to do.
Yes. That's incredible advice right there. That's incredible to ask it things that you never thought that you could actually ask it to do. That's powerful advice, because I think that if we can tap the part of our creativity that we want technology to support, not replace, or part of our efficiency that we want it to tap and support us in, but not replace us being efficient beings. I think that that co-pilot seat for digital consciousness is like a really cool opportunity for those of us to actually be able to come into more of our creative selves, more of our whole selves, more of our learning selves, and possibly to release some of the mundane tasks that have disconnected us, you
Yeah,
know?
I really like what you said earlier about the level playing field. Like you can now do things you didn't, like I said earlier, that you didn't think you could do because it can help you do those things. So now you're able to do things you never thought you could do that maybe you kind of wanted to, maybe you didn't want to learn it, but you wanted things to be done so you could then be able to move into the things you really wanted to do, or
Exactly.
whatever, the freedom.
Exactly.
Keep going back to freedoms.
There's no freedom. That this is the transit. This is the transit, is that we are going to have freedom of thought like we've never had before. And, I just want to invite everybody out there to just really welcome innovation without like abandoning any of your wisdom. Just realize it's an enhancement. I think that using these tools with our discernment and with purpose and honoring the sacred gift of creativity is going to continue to have us remain grounded in this rapid evolution technologically that we're in. And I think that every opportunity that we have, like, hello, to say, I choose consciousness over fear, we can embrace that. So, if today, like, if something resonated, it wasn't necessarily hype, y'all. It was probably some recognition. And your mind is recognizing a shift. Your body's recognizing a shift. Your soul, your spirit, your consciousness. We are in a dynamic time of change, y'all. And collectively, we are, I think, facing the greatest opportunity that we've ever had to create some of the greatest communities and the greatest ideas that manifest into reality now in ways that possibly we haven't had available since back in the day in ancient Egypt. So, Janet Moore, how can people reach out to you with the Boldly Bloom? If you could just tell us the best way to get to you.
Yeah, right now it's goboldlybloom.com.
goboldlybloom.com. And on Instagram, I know that you're
Janet Moore Confidence.
Janet Moore Confidence for the confidence building. And Janet's going to get out there pretty soon with women and start to talk about how we can actually be automating our lives more. So remember, y'all, trust your gut, lead with your heart, liberate, integrate, ground, harmonize, and transmit the you that is truly the only one that has ever existed and ever will. And always, always, always come home to you. Thank you so much for sharing time and space with us, Janet Moore. We appreciate you. Until next time, y'all, stay open and stay you. Thank you now. Bye-bye.
Long and prosper.
Okay.